The principle of check and balances in the presidential system of government predisposes overbearing influence of one arm over another among the executive, legislature and judiciary. After refusal of President Muhammadu Buhari to give assent to the amended Electoral Act relating to statutory delegates captured in Section 84, the House of Representatives has begun moves to override him. The 30-day constitutional window for the president to either sign or reject the amendment has lapsed. Hence, the decision by the lower legislative chamber to override him for the amendment to become law. Let's share this story with you.
The House is resuming official tasks after weeks of electioneering activities. As at the last count, more than 100 of the 360 members failed to secure return tickets of their political parties. They blame the indirect primary for this. Deputy Minority Leader Tobi Okechukwu is one of those who lost out in the race. He rises to express his heartfelt sadness over the development.
Something is wrong in an institution where the two leaders of the Senate would have to cross to other parties because of an inherent inclement condition. If it is our Electoral Act, if it is our politics, if it is the environment where we operate, we need to retool.
Delta State lawmaker Ben Igbakwa says the 30-day window for the president to sign the latest amendment to the Electoral Act has lapsed. He says it behoves on the National Assembly to gather signatures and override the president.
We cannot continue to act as if we are under the executive arm of government. This constitution gave us the power, just like it gave to them. We must wake up as a parliament where we pass our laws and we are sure that we have done the right thing. We should start overriding Mr. President.
But the Speaker called for a substantive motion.
For us to override, I believe we require 2/3 majority, and it cannot be by voice vote. What I would suggest is that you bring the application a formal motion or notice.
The House has now urged INEC to extend the continued voter registration exercise by 60 days so as not to disenfranchise many citizens.
The House is cognizant of the large number of unregistered eligible voters willing to be registered, as evidenced by the crowd seen at various registration centers, resulting in congestion.
The Speaker has appealed to other committees with pending reports to submit them between now and the first week in July, when the National Assembly will be proceeding on its annual vacation. Jokeyadsi, TVC News, Abuja.
Thank you. About 178 members of the House of Reps will not be going back to the National Assembly. Would this have triggered this resolution by the lawmakers?
To an extent, yes, because a lot of them were not helped by the fact that they could not vote, and they could also not be voted for in the final analysis. The governors were in complete control. They shut out the lawmakers, and in a situation in which somebody as big as the majority leader of the Senate will score less than 5 votes in a primary election, it's unheard of. It's strange. It just speaks to the manner in which governors completely hijack this process and shut out people that they do not like. Some of the governors were interested in Senate seats currently being occupied by some serving senators at this point. So for those senators, there was no way they could win the battle, because against the governors, they were simply powerless. What Gbajabi Amila was saying was right in a way when he said, look, if we had adopted the direct primaries, what happened to us would not have happened, because the direct primary puts power in the hand of every party member. You can vote as long as you are a party member, but the delegate system ensures that only a select few, and a situation in which even the statutory delegates were not the delegates that voted in the last election, but ad hoc delegates. Those delegates were so few, to the point that you ask yourself, how did we even come to a situation in which very few people are electing our federal legislators as governors? You know, so if they had adopted the direct primary module, a good number of them will have survived, because it takes away the power from the governors. But the delegate system allows governors to handpick, to choose delegates. Some governors even personally wrote the names of all the delegates that would have voted at some of these elections, including even the presidential primary. So, but Abiamila will feel that if they had been supported when the National Assembly wanted direct primary, maybe a good number of them will have survived. The rate of mortality, in inverted commas, of our National Assembly, of our own parliament, is the highest I've seen in the world. I don't know anywhere else where out of 260 members, 178 or so will not be coming back. And if we check the Senate, it's the same thing. It's the same story. Every year is a lot worse this year. But every year we lose a good number of senators, a good number of House of Reps members who are of great value, who will serve us tremendously if they were allowed to remain in the National Assembly. As I said yesterday, if the longest serving congressman in the US has spent 47 years, 47 straight years, making laws for America. The record was 51 years before that one left office. 51 years. So when people say, oh, he's been there for 3 terms, he's been there for 4 terms, it's because they don't know that elsewhere, the longer you stay in the parliament, the greater your influence, the wider your knowledge base, and the more useful you are to your country. It's because people don't understand this. So we keep allowing these guys to live. Look at, there is a senator from Ekiti State. Brilliant senator. He's not coming back. In some states, only one senator. Look at Kogi, for example. Only one senator is coming back. That's the one from Kogi East. So the rate of turnover is just too bad. But again, the president has to respect the National Assembly. If the law says within 30 days, you have to give your reason for not giving assent. It's already 33 days. The president did not even give any reason, he just ignored them.
The leadership of the National Assembly have called this lacuna an error. But let me play the devil's advocate. Do you think this is actually an error? Because some Nigerians are happy with this.
On the part of an error on the part
of the president.
For not signing the bill?
Or for ignoring, like the National Assembly calls it.
I remember my grandfather would always say, it is not the day you want to take the goat to the market that you start feeding the goat. You know, it's not the day you're putting the goat for sale that you start feeding. All along, when the National Assembly has made itself a rubber stamp assembly, so what were they expecting? Were they expecting a sudden change? I mean, a sudden respect? Were they expecting something different, you know, from how they have presented or how they have or how they have allowed the executive, you know, to treat them over time? You know, it appears when you have a crisis between the National Assembly and the president, so we are quick to go to the, you know, to start shouting, oh, they are not supporting the executive. Whereas the National Assembly is meant to act as the instrument of checks and balances to the executive. And there is no way you can do this, you know, without some friction. So when you see such frictions, we should not be quick to rush the media to say, oh, they are not supporting. And unfortunately, we have been very quick to also condemn the National Assembly without necessary or without the good understanding of what they are meant for. So the executive, they have over time reading on this one. I mean, they have been exploring this to ensure that they kick them to the corner. It didn't just start. Unfortunately, during the last assembly, when that assembly was trying to assert itself, Nigerians were calling them all manner of names. And this present assembly practically submitted itself to the executive. So it is not today that they will start demanding for the respect they by themselves willingly gave to the executive. It is, if you call it an error on the part of the presidency, it has also been an error on their part to be a National Assembly that refused to assert its authority, to the executive. Now, this is just a one-off thing. Do you know how many things they have had to swallow? It is just because this is something more important, that is gaining traction in the media. Else, they have had to swallow a lot. I remember when they were running probes. It was an order for them to stop probe in the National Assembly. And they practically came out to say, okay, all ad hoc committees should stop probe. And it stopped. So it is not now that they should start crying. They should have cried long ago. For me, if these had not played some role in undermining a democratic system, I won't give it off. But unfortunately, it is not good for the system where the fate of the country is given to a limited number of people, handpicked also by only one person, the governor. It is not fair.